So what is going on, guys? I'm BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome back to another video on the channel where today we are going to be taking a look at the top 10 worst pack-a-punch spots in all of Call of Duty Zombies. Just giving over the Treyarch games, so World at War 2 Cold War Zombies, also including Vanguard and Modern Warfare 3, although let me tell you now, they don't make it into this video, but I'm going to be taking into account two different things that brings me to this conclusion of these being the worst pack-a-punch spots. The first thing being the actual location of the pack-a-punch machine, and the second thing being how difficult it is to get to it. Whether that means traversing there, how you activate the pack-a-punch, is it by building it, pressing some levers? But let's get into number 10, which I've given to Town. Now, I would actually say the first 4 or 5 PAP locations on this list aren't really bad at all. We only have a limited amount of Zombies maps, so because of that, I don't necessarily think these first few are really that bad, but I'm going to give number 10 to Town because the pack-a-punch machine itself sits on lava, which makes it very unique because unlike any other pack-a-punch situation, you can literally leave a crawler, stand at the pack-a-punch, put your weapon in and wait for it to come out. You can stand right in front of it. But with this one on Town, you can't. If you stand still on the lava, you're going to get downed, so you've got to put your weapon in, hop off the lava back onto the concrete, and then when your papped weapon is ready to collect, you have to jump back onto the lava and get it. So although it's probably the easiest out of any Zombies map to actually access, you don't have to build it, you don't have to go searching for it, it's literally located right in the middle of the map. But unlike any other map, there is a different risk because when you use it, there is a chance that you down yourself. If you're not paying attention, you don't get off the lava quick enough, or you end up getting surrounded by zombies whilst you're on the lava, all it then takes is one hit and you're dead. It's a risky pack-a-punch location to use, but it's super easy to get to, which is why it's at number 10. In at number 9 is Shangala. Now you may be thinking, Eli, what are you on about? Just like Town, this is probably one of the easiest pack-a-punches to access, which is true for solo players, but if you're playing co-op, especially with randoms, it requires every player on the map to stand on one of the slabs at the same time. So if you're playing with random players and you don't have any ways to communicate with them, especially if they're new to the game or they're just not paying attention to what everybody else on the map is doing, accessing the pack-a-punch on Shangala on co-op is near impossible. If you're playing this map alone, only one player, being you, has to stand on one of the slabs, which will open up the staircase to get to the pack-a-punch. But if you're playing with 3 or 4 players, every person on the map has to stand on a slab. And let me tell you, having played this map hundreds of times, it can be frustrating. In at number 8 is the pack-a-punch on Zosima. The main reason I've put this on the list is I hate when there's a bunch of steps to access a pack-a-punch machine. I much prefer it when it's just there on the map, you can go to it straight away. But it's when you have to do multiple steps, collect multiple parts, or even build the pack-a-punch machine itself. It's not really worth the hassle. You've got to collect 3 different machine tool parts. One is in an area that you have to swim through. Another one you have to open up these cocoons where zombies can come out of. And the other part you collect when you turn on the power. And to top it all off, I would also say the area where the pack-a-punch machine isn't the easiest to get out of. It's not in a trainable location, so if you want to get back out alive after papping, you've really got to do it at the end of the round. In at number 7 is the Gorod Kurovi pack-a-punch location. You could say Zetsubo's is harder to get to, but Gorod's definitely requires more skill, so if you're not that good at zombies, and I mean you'd have to be really quite bad, you might not be able to pack-a-punch on this map at all. In order to get to PAP, you have to collect 3 different cylinders around the map, which you get by killing zombies around these modules. Once you've done that, you then take a dragon ride over to the pack-a-punch machine, and it's there right in front of you. You can pack-a-punch your weapon. Seems simple enough, so why is this number 7? Well, it's actually escaping the pack-a-punch room, which is the difficult part, not getting to it. So technically, maybe this should be number 10 or not even on this list because it's so easy to get to, but there's no point pack-a-punching your weapon if you can't escape the pack-a-punch location. If you want to get out of the pack-a-punch spot alive, you're going to have to fight off against a ton of different enemies, manglers, zombies. Honestly, it's a challenge as well. That's all a part of getting the Dragon Strike, but once you've done it, you can just simply come and go as you wish. You don't have to do the extra steps again. But yeah, the first time pack-punching on Gorod, not getting here, but leaving, is difficult. In at number 6 is the pack-a-punch on Dirise. We all know how the perks work on this map. They are located in elevators that go up or down. The pack-a-punch machine works the same. And for me, why this is worse than a lot of others is not because it's difficult to get to. Finding the pack-a-punch machine is a little bit frustrating, but where I've messed up so many times is I've put my weapon into the pack-a-punch machine, and before it can come back out again, the elevator leaves. Normally, because the pack-a-punch machine is in one spot, you can see when your weapon's coming out and then go up to it again to grab it. But because the locations of the elevators are quite tight, even with one zombie, you're going to at least have to run in a circle. Unless you've got a crawler, you're not just going to stand in front of the elevator. And if you've placed your weapon into the PAP at the wrong time, maybe the elevator's been there for 20 seconds already, before you can get your weapon back out of it, it leaves, and you've wasted your 5,000 points. Number 4 is the Origins map. I know a lot of people actually hate where it's situated. To be honest, I'm not that bothered, but what does annoy me is having to reactivate it again every other round, especially on those higher rounds. In order to activate the Origins map, you've got to turn on all 6 generators, which to be fair is pretty easy. The Templar zombies aren't that hard to kill, but when you get onto those later rounds, as soon as those Templars come out and manage to turn off one generator, they then go after another one, and it becomes difficult to stop them. Where it's located on the mound isn't the best location. The zombies can come at you from either end quite easily because there are barriers both sides, which means a lot of times you're forced to go underground, where there are more barriers the zombies can come in from. I don't think it's the worst spot, but it's keeping the Pack-a-Punch open on Origins, which is a challenge. For number 4, we have Buried. I went back to look at my top 5 worst Pack-a-Punch locations that I did about 6 or 7 years ago, which also included Buried, and a lot of people on that said, well, Buried isn't bad. And I've been back to play it many times since then, and I still hate it. I can't get on board with the idea that the Buried Pack-a-Punch isn't annoying, or at least shouldn't be in the top 5. To get here, you have to go halfway across the map. Your first challenge is actually going through the mansion, avoiding the witches and making sure that they don't touch you and take your points, which is easier said than done. I've been geared up plenty of times with an unpack-a-punched ray gun, ready to go there and kill them, and somehow they end up touching me. So first you've actually got to get through the house with enough points to pack a punch. You've then got to go through the maze, which is your next challenge, and then you've got to go down the spiral staircase, which is extremely tight, so you have to go here really with just one zombie left on the map. You've also got to avoid the holes in the spiral staircase to make sure that you don't fall down, and when you do get here, it's a tiny little area, so any zombie that was following you down is then going to be directly behind you. There's no way to avoid it or go around it other than turning around and facing it head on. This one combines a really bad type pack-a-punch spot. It's annoying to get to. I simply can't get on board with the idea that it's easy. I could have the paralyzer, a pack-a-punch ray gun, and I still hate it, so I'm not changing my mind on this. For number 3, we have Moon. Now, Moon is different because I don't find the location that bad. It's in the starting area, but we all know that the starting area is in No Man's Land, and No Man's Land works different to your regular zombies map because there are no rounds here. Zombies are constant, which means, for example, like on Buried, you can just leave one zombie alive and then go and pack a punch so you're not swarmed. But in No Man's Land, there are no rounds, which means you can't leave one zombie, so you get absolutely no time to pack a punch. You have to put your weapon into the machine, do a full circle around the area, and then collect it on your lap back. Because of where it's located though in the starting area, it is possible to pack a punch before you've even started a game of zombies, before you've teleported to the moon. But it's the constant wave of zombies which makes this one a different challenge to the rest. For number 2, I have the Nuketown Pack-a-Punch location. This one involves a lot of RNG, which means it can be really, really easy. If you've played Nuketown, you will know that the perk machines and the Pack-a-Punch machine spawn onto the map at different times. They come in from the sky and they land on different rounds and in different locations. So you could end up getting really favorable RNG where the Pack-a-Punch machine comes in on round 5 and lands in an open area, or you could end up getting bad luck where the Pack-a-Punch machine spawns in on round 25 and lands in the bedroom of the yellow house, or the garage where you have to crawl under the door to access it. I've had some really bad Pack-a-Punch locations where I've actually just quit the game because of it. So yeah, Nuketown really could be in at number 10, or if you've got bad RNG, it deserves the number 2 spot. But what takes number 1, you guys guessed it, is Transit. Undoubtedly the worst Pack-a-Punch spot of all time, not only the location, but also building it. I mentioned earlier, I hate building things in zombies, and building a Pack-a-Punch machine is one of the worst things you can do. Firstly, you've got to build the turbine. You've then got to place the turbine down in the power station. You then have to make your way over to the bank. That might sound easy, but you've got to be lucky enough that not only did you make your way to the bank quick enough, but also the zombies didn't destroy the turbine back at the power station. There have been so many times where I've put the turbine down at power station, gone to the bank, and when I get there, the door isn't open because my turbine's broken. And when you do get here successfully, you then got to actually build the machine itself, which to be fair, isn't bad. But why this is number 1 is because this, I think, is the only zombies map that doesn't have a permanently opened Pack-a-Punch. We have maps where the Pack-a-Punch location changes, but I don't think we've ever had a map where once you open it, you then can't access it again without going through all of the same steps. Well, on Transit, the turbine is inevitably going to break, which means every time you want to Pack-a-Punch really, you've got to place it down at the power station and then quickly make your way to the bank to Pack-a-Punch before it breaks. You've got to play it for yourself to see how annoying it is, but I don't think anyone's going to argue that this is number one. So there we go, the top 10 worst Pack-a-Punch spots in COD Zombies. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.